Hey, greetings fellow nerds. I'm a nerd fighting fat, and this is my weekly, well, 2 weekly in this case, fat fighting update. So I'm doing alternate day fasting, I'm working out, I'm watching my sugar, and this is my 30th and 31st week of being on Mounjaro, and I'm currently on the 10 milligram pen. So I wasn't able to do a video last week. I was away on a business trip, and I was still away on my normal weigh-in days, so I just decided to combine the 2 weeks. And I will say, I think as expected, the numbers were bad. So let's talk about those numbers. So this is my personal results for the week, and I had for 2 weeks, I had a 3.2 pound gain. So that drops my total Mounjaro loss to 48.8 pounds and my total overall loss to 131.9 pounds. So my average glucose was 115, so it's a little bit higher. I think I might need to titrate up to the from the 10 milligram to the 12.5. So I'm just concerned about availability, but I think I probably need to do that. I didn't really have a way to track my calories very well while I was gone. The cafeteria at my workplace, it was up in Boise, they didn't have any nutritional information, so I just tried to eat what looked somewhat healthy. And then at dinner time, I tried to eat somewhat healthy as well. It's always kind of tough when you are a place that you're not really familiar with all the different options, right? Because sometimes it's kind of hard to find the healthier options. So when I got back, I did get my 2 fasts in the week I was back. I didn't fast the week I was gone. And I got 6 workouts in the week I was back. I didn't get a chance really to work out when I was gone, though I did do a lot of walking. So anyway, is what it is. Side effect wise, I ended up having because I had difficulty getting the 10 milligram Mounjaro before, and so then I'd gone about 10 days. And so then I wanted to line that back up, and plus I didn't want to have to deal with trying to keep one of these refrigerated while I was gone on my business trip. So I ended up with about another 10-11 day gap between my shots. And then when I took that shot, though, this last one, I did get hit pretty good with mostly just the day after is usually when I get any side effects. And it was mostly just really just tired and dragging and a bit burpy. But, and then that lasts for a day or so, and then I'm fine. So anyways, is what it is. So, all right, so this week's fat fighting tool, I've been taking creatine supplements, and I ran out of the last kind, and so I was looking at the options out there, and I decided to try this new kind. So it's called Create, and I got a watermelon and an orange flavor. And I have to say, I like these a lot better than my previous brand. And the main concern I had with my previous brand was they would stick together. So they would in the package, I'd have to kind of rip them off. So these, when they do the creatine to absorb it properly, they usually combine it with 1 gram of sugar. And so these, they're kind of almost powdery or something, but they don't stick together at all. And so I really kind of appreciate that. And the flavor is not too bad. I think I like the orange a little bit slightly better than the watermelon, but yeah, I'll definitely, I think, probably buy this one again next time I run out. Probably got quite a bit here to last me for a month or two, at least probably 2 months. So one question is, why do I supplement with creatine? And again, I think I discussed this before, but it helps build muscle mass, and it's actually one of the more popular supplements that's out there. The bodybuilders all use it to help improve their muscle mass and their strength and their gym performance. And one of the concerns that a lot of people have with the GLP-1 medications is, and really with any time that you're losing weight very fast, is that you are losing your muscle mass. And so I'm doing everything I can to keep that, because muscle burns more calories than fat, and so you want that lean mass to help accelerate your weight loss, but then also you want to keep your strength and your ability to perform. And so I'm doing everything I can to do that. And so that's resistance exercises, or weights, or resistance bands, those kinds of things. I try to make sure I eat enough protein, and taking creatine. So speaking of protein, we were out with some friends, and he is he's one of those guys that competes in the strongest man competitions, and so I was asking him, so how much protein does he try to eat a day? And he eats 1 gram of protein per pound. And so when you're a big guy like me, if I was to eat 1 gram of protein per pound, that would be like, over 400 grams of protein, which that's a lot of protein. That would be a hard thing to accomplish. But I try to keep my protein at least above 100, and I try to keep it really around 150 is where I prefer to keep it. On the days I'm eating, of course. On the days I'm fasting, yeah, I have 0. So, but anyways, yeah. So I'm just trying to keep that muscle mass, but yeah, this is a pretty good version of the creatine supplement, I think. Okay, so for the fat fighting food, remember last week I showed you starting my microgreens, and so this week, rather than just show you the finished microgreens, I decided to use some of the microgreens in a stir fry I made with some of my wife's leftovers. So here you go. Hey guys, for our food this week, I'm just going to show you how I turn some leftovers. In this case, this is my wife's leftover Mongolian from Pei Wei. If you don't have a Pei Wei, it's the same as a P.F. Chang, only more of a counter style restaurant. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to add some fresh stuff to it and turn it into a more healthy stir fry that myself and my daughter will probably eat half of this too. So for ingredients, I'm going to do that. I've got some eggs that a neighbor raised from, so these are fresh chicken eggs. I've got some G-Hughes sugar-free stir fry sauce. I've got a few leaves of cabbage that I grew in my hydroponic garden. I've got some chard that I also grew in my hydroponic garden. I got some green onions that I grew in my hydroponic garden. I've got just some leftover deli ham to add a little bit more protein. I've got 3 little yellow bell peppers that I grew in my hydroponic garden. And then also, I've got some microgreens that I've been growing. So these are a red cabbage microgreen. So I'm just going to cut off some of these, and I'm going to throw that into the mix as well. And then I will probably add a little bit of peanut oil and some spices. So I will chop this up, get it in the pan, and then I'll show you as it's cooking. Okay, guys, so I'm going to start putting the stuff in the pan. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in some oil. So I got some olive oil here. I'm not going to heat it too hot, so I'm just going to, that should do nicely. I've got some freeze-dried garlic I'm going to add. I've got some Sugar Rush cream pepper that I dried and powdered from my outside garden. It's kind of about the same spiciness as a jalapeno, but it's got a nice fruity flavor. And this is some lemon thyme that I grew also as an herb out in my garden.
and then I'm just going to throw in some ground cumin. So I will do that, and then I will get those spices going, and I'll show you the next step. All right, so those spices are kind of getting heated up a little bit. So now I'm just going to take the leftovers. I'm going to add this, and then I'm going to crack just a couple eggs in there. So there's that. Just going to stir that up a little bit. And then we're just going to add a couple of these eggs. It's kind of fun. They're different colors. So some are green, some are darker brown. Kind of fun. All right, there's one. We'll do just 3 eggs. Probably going to have enough of this for a couple meals at least. All right. And I'm just going to wash my hands off. I got just a little bit of egg on there, and then I'm just going to stir that up, and I will bring it back to you guys when we add in the next stuff. Okay, so I'm going to start adding in the rest of the stuff now. So this was the ham that I showed you, and we've got the chopped up scallions or green onions. We've got the cabbage, kind of chopped up, the Swiss chard, the microgreens, and the peppers. All right, so get all that in there. And then one thing I didn't mention that I also am going to throw in there is just some salt and pepper. So make it rain. All right, do the pepper. We'll stir this up, and then I'll move the camera in so you can kind of get a look at it. It's mostly just going to be vegetables and then a little bit of the egg and the ham in here, with just a little bit of that rice. All right, so I'm just going to lift this up so you can get a better view of that. So you can see in there. So anyhow, just going to heat that up, and then I'm going to add some of the sauce, and then we'll dish it up. All right, guys, it's all done, and I gotta say, it is not too shabby. So just a quick way you can turn your leftovers into a more nutritious stir fry. But those are the kind of things I eat, and for the most part, excuse me, really good. For the most part, it works pretty well. So again, there's a few carbs. I'm not going complete keto, but I do go into ketosis on the days that I fast. So, but this is just quick. I mean, from start to finish, I cooked this up in 20 minutes. So I try to go fast. I used a half hour to do a swim just now, changed real quick. I just cooked this up, and now it's back to work. So anyhow, hope you guys thought this was useful, gave you some ideas maybe, and take care.
All right, so this week's small victory. I want to talk about the car again. I've talked about how I didn't have to scoot my seat back as far before, but this week I went and I got a car wash. I had, believe it or not, this time of year it's already warm enough. Well, maybe where you live it's really warm, but where I live it's just finally warm enough that I got a bunch of bugs on my windshield, so I needed to get a car wash. And so I went. There's a local place called, it's probably, I think it's a nationwide chain. It's called Quick Quack. So when you drive into the car wash, you line up your wheels with the tracks, and as you enter, and then you put the car in neutral, and then it just kind of takes the car down, and the steering wheel kind of moves a little bit back and forth. And in the past, I always noticed that that steering wheel really couldn't move very easily because my legs were there, and so I'd have to I'd try to move my legs out of the way, and it was I was kind of worried that I would maybe keep the wheel from being free enough that it would cause issues. And then that's also I was really worried about ever getting a self-driving car with the traditional steering wheels, because as the wheel tried to turn, my legs are in the way. But as I was doing this, I looked down and there's like a couple inch gap between the steering wheel and the top of my legs. And, it's just a little thing, but it definitely made me happy. And that was just another thing that as I'm getting, the world is starting to work for me as I get closer to normality. And that's really all I want. I don't want to be a super athlete. I'm getting older. My knees are shot. I don't know if I'll ever be able to be a super athletic type again, but I just want to be normal, and things like that they just make me happy. So that's a wrap for this time, and these road trips, they kill me. I think I was up probably, I think I was probably as high as 16 pounds up. But now I'm back to, for the 2 weeks, down to 3.2. So, these weight gains I get when I go on these trips definitely seems to be temporary. Like I had that big gain when I went to Disneyland, and I got a couple of normal weeks here that I can hopefully have some good losses on coming up. I am going to Dallas in a couple of weeks. My sister-in-law lives in Dallas, and we're going to go stay with, we're actually staying at a hotel, but we're going to go hang out with her, and we're going to watch the eclipse. The total solar eclipse is coming up, so that's pretty exciting. We really enjoyed the last one that came by. So again, I'm a nerd, but the going to Dallas, though, it's far enough that I have to go on a plane. So as a big man, planes are not my favorite. It's like, why do I drive to work for Boise? I hate planes. Why do I drive anywhere within 10 hours? I hate planes. I've had some bad experiences due to my weight and other people on planes, and I just don't like them. But maybe next week we'll talk a little bit about what it's like for. I'll do my prep, which is for my tools. I'll show you the things I take to help on the plane. But then we'll see. Maybe I'll fit better this time. So anyhow, keep fighting the fat, guys. Cheers.